And maybe also need some adaptations for the Synchron player.
I don't know. No,
we have to experiment.
Then we won't see a release this year, definitely. Is this our first conversation for a video, Martin, face to face? I can't remember anymore. It's so long ago.
I guess so. Maybe 20 or 23 years ago, maybe. But it's definitely a first that we want to talk about things that we're currently developing.
Yeah.
And products and what you have in mind, what you're working on, what the team is working on. So this is definitely a first.
Yeah, I was always a little afraid to do this, no, because you never know if a product is ready in a certain time frame, or are there problems which leads to the decision to drop product development completely. And therefore, when a product is done, we announce it. Not this was our mantra the past years, and now, yeah, we like to change this a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, we talked a lot about improving things, what we can do to help our users better and to help them better create music. And also, we often hear from users that they want to plan ahead and want to know what's coming. And so, yeah, as part of the new year, we thought, let's talk about this.
Every year, I think, so we have less work to do than the past years. And when I prepare the plan for the actual year, I always baffled now how much we have to do now. And this was very transparent now preparing now for this interview or this conversation. And yeah, I think we should start with things which are pretty close for release.
Yeah.
I think this makes sense. It's just one thing or maybe two. All the others we really don't know now when we are ready for it to release it. Yeah.
And I guess we also should mention that the order of the products that we're talking about, there's no indication about when they are going to be released in which order. Yeah.
I need a little freedom for developing things, especially when software development is involved. Then you never know when you are really done. Yeah, first things first. Then the expansions of our woodwinds articulation-wise. It's not that big surprise because we have released already for the Synchron Smart Orchestra some stuff for the woodwinds. The name Lyrical Legato, which is simply a legato where no crossfades between intervals and sustain notes are mapped. They are all performed by the players. Of course, this is very exhausting and very demanding, and it needs a lot of time because you have to play really long notes for each interval, which are loopable. And yeah, therefore 3 woodwinds are prepared for this. And further, we also took the chance, the new developed fast legato technology we realized for the duality strings is also done for these woodwinds. So there will be a lyrical legato patch and a new fast legato patch. I don't know exactly the naming of the patch in the preset. Maybe you have.
I think it's Virtuosic.
Virtuosic, yeah, that's a good name. Yeah, yeah, and this will come for a flute, oboe, and the clarinet. And maybe that's the time to mention that our oboe in the in the woodwinds package, the second oboe is initially the first oboe. It was just a labeling error, and we decided not to correct it after the release because we just realized it after the release that we mixed it up to keep the presets of our users intact. No? Yeah, also nobody should be surprised that the oboe 2 have now the lyrical legato and the virtuosic legato. Yeah.
But the flute one and the clarinet one,
they are correct. Yeah.
Okay, great. What else?
Yeah. This is not coming that soon, but hopefully also this year, other woodwinds, of course, now with this new technology. We already have recorded this stuff for the alto flute, for the English horn, for the bass clarinet, and for the bassoon.
more free expansions for Synchron Woodwinds?
I thought it would be cool to keep it free. Also the first 3 of definitely. The other ones, it's the decision of the marketing. Also, but I'm the good guy. If you want to ask for money, then you are the bad guy. I think we'll keep it for free. No? The updates, yeah.
I think it would be great, yeah.
The next project, I know there will be users who say, not again. Yeah, it's a new piano. I'm sorry. Yeah. There's a little background story because Mick Baumeister, a good friend of Paul Kopf, had to move to Asia, I think, and could not take his pianos to Asia and asked for a good place to store them. No? Normal storage places are not very good for instruments because of temperatures and
humidity.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I was informed just a few weeks after we have ordered our own Fazioli, the 308, and I think, okay, yeah, but we will take it anyway, even if I know that maybe this piano will go back in a few years. And so we put it in our storage, and our piano guys told me that it's really a wonderful sounding piano. And therefore I thought, okay, it's not that big like the 308, it's a 212 Fazioli model. And I thought it might be a perfect piano for our stage B for a dry recording. And therefore we decided, okay, we do now the second Fazioli in the stage B.
I think that's a great match for the large Fazioli recorded on stage A here, just a few meters here behind me. And here in this room where we're sitting, stage B, for the little smaller Fazioli. So it's, I know that a lot of people want a more intimate sound for a piano and not have everything in that large, beautifully sounding room, but sometimes it's just too much. Huh?
On the other side, the 308 in this room would be a little bit overwhelming, I think.
Yeah.
So it was the right order.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
What's interesting for people who don't know Mick Baumeister, maybe he's also known for, he's the creator or co-creator of the Hornberg breath controller. So he's quite an interesting person and great musician and great guy. Yeah. Okay, so what else is cooking?
Yeah, one thing I had hoped that I had not to do is new solo strings. But I, of course, read all the forums or a lot of postings there, and regularly now I hear there the demand, we want all those solo strings recorded at the Synchron stage. And yeah, and so we decided last year that we start this project. We took the challenge and did 2 instruments side by side, a violin and a violoncello. Yeah, and I'm afraid because I know solo strings are very, very difficult to do. There are high demands on from the user side how they should sound. No? And therefore it's, of course, a lot of work, and you have to sample them completely different compared to string sections. A solo instrument needs a complete different mapping and technology behind it to sound right and that it's usable. No? So I did also some research how we should sample it, no? That we get really good solo string instruments with more reverb. No? It's easier to do it, of course, with dry recording, but we already have dry recorded solo strings now, and yeah, so this is a running project. It's not completely recorded at the moment, and yeah, of course we will need several months to edit all this stuff. What we did care about is the miking. We did a lot of close and mid miking so that users have a lot of options and choices of the final sound of the instrument. I think the most important thing, especially when you do solo instruments, that you have an artist in the stage who really likes to be sampled. No? It sounds a little absurd, maybe, but if you love this kind of challenge, no, then of course you get brilliant results, no? And therefore it was good to know that we have 2 musicians who really like to do it. No?
Another big project is moving the VI series instruments to the new, well, it's not so new anymore, but to the newer Synchron player. So what can we expect here from VI series instruments that are going to be ported over to the Synchron player?
Yeah, the biggest missing part are, of course, the brass instruments. And we are definitely working on the conversion to Synchron player. Especially the timbre adjust feature we have developed for the Synchron brass also works, of course, perfectly for the silent stage recorded brass, which will give them more flexibility and more realistic approach when you program brass phrases. And it's a funny thing because we started with brass instruments more than 20 years ago. It's a different thing if you just use them for music programming or you go inside the original mapping and look at it, what you have done 20 years ago. No? So it's a journey in the past a little bit, and you get very close now to the material. And it was good to see and to hear that the quality, especially from the musicians, was such on a high level, no? Even in the beginning of our sampling business. No? So it's also a lot of work, of course, but it's also a very nice experience not to hear them again in this detailed analysis you have to do now when you convert the material.
Yeah, so you're really going back to the original recordings and not just take the material that's in the VI series player.
No, every patch has to be approved, and some things have to be changed for Synchron player. And of course, after 20 years, there are small things I had to change a little bit now, so that the instrument sounds even better. So we don't change the overall sound of the instruments. It's just that the legato is smoother, that the dynamic range is working better between different articulations, all this stuff. Now you have to adjust a little bit so that the instruments get simply more playable now out of the box.
We've had great success with duality strings in the last months. And of course, we have 3 volumes out now. So people are asking what's coming next.
Yeah, so I'm very happy that the duality concept works that well. In my opinion, it's the best approach we ever developed for strings sampling. And of course, I want to go ahead and beyond the possibilities we did reach with these products now. And the really nice thing is now we have done all the basic stuff, I would say, which everybody expects when you release a string library. So now we have the chance to get into more new territory, at least for us. So what I can tell at the moment about the upcoming new volume for the duality strings is that we already have recorded it. Editing is starting now. And the working title of the product will be Virtuoso, Duality Virtuoso Strings, or Duality Strings Virtuoso. It's up to you, the order of the words. And of course, the label is not just a label, it's the program of the library. So we did really virtuosic stuff with all the sections. And it was also something which the musicians really love to do it. No? It was, of course, more difficult than basic samples. So they could show what they are able to do on the instruments. I really will enjoy to present then the first mapped stuff, hopefully not so far in the future.
Do you have any hints what's in there? What kind of virtuosic phrases or?
I don't want to describe the details, but there are some labels which are known, like ricochet, saltando, arpeggios, effect glissandos, and this kind of stuff. And for all the people now who say, okay, I don't want to buy another volume, I have also good news. What we did in these recording sessions are also some patches to expand the volume 1, also the regular duality strings volume with new additional recordings, which will be free or not, you decide?
Hopefully they will be free, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think this will be released parallel with the Virtuoso volume then.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, that's duality strings. And now to something completely different. I heard something about world percussion.
Everybody was so happy about the percussion at Synchron Stage. So a lot of feedback from users said that the stage is really sounding perfectly for percussion instruments. This was, of course, one reason to go ahead with new percussion stuff. And the other one is because of our recordings here with clients, which love to record with our in-house percussion, they always had some demands on more exotic percussion stuff. Also for any drums and effect percussion from all over the world, which was not part of the percussion we had in-house. I didn't want to rent just the instruments for the recordings. So every time we needed a special instrument, we decided to buy it. No? So over the past years, we collected a lot of new percussion instruments. And this was the second reason. Percussion sounds cool at Synchron Stage, and we have a lot of new instruments. So yeah, we said, okay, we do another percussion volume, the world percussion. And what's also important is, of course, that you have performers who are familiar playing these instruments. And yeah, we, of course, researched and hired musicians for the client recordings now, where we use these drums. So we did know we have really good percussion players who can deliver. And what was also important for me is that I said, I don't want to make a loop library, no? Because they are so fast overused, no? When you have a couple of loops there and everybody is using them. But of course, these instruments have very distinct grooves and sounds. And I tried to make a concept where we can deliver this without recording loops. So we in the first step, we invited the musicians to perform here in this room typical phrases on the instruments. We recorded them. We also took videos, how they played, that we see what we hear also, where do they work on the instruments with chant positions and so on. So this was the basis for the concept what we will record now. And what I said to the percussion team, to Andy Olszewski, what I would like to see is that we have then all the needed single samples, which can be then reprogrammed and should be as close as possible to the originally played phrases and loops the musicians did. No? So what's also planned is that we deliver these samples with these MIDI loops. And this is then, I think, the perfect starting point for everybody, that you can alter these loops, not only speed-wise, but also if you want to leave out a note or add something which is not there, it's very easy to adapt it and to get a perfect fit to the score you are working on.
That sounds great. Yeah. Thanks you so much for taking the time to share your thoughts and to be so open about what you're working on and what our team is working on. I think it's great for a lot of users who want to plan ahead and just to know what's in the pipeline and what they can expect. Not exactly in a given time frame, but in principle. So thank you so much. I guess I'm looking forward to our next conversation in a few months.
In a few months. Oh my God.
Or maybe next year.
Yeah. I really hope we can deliver everything we have talked about in an adequate time frame. And yeah, let's see.
And we hope for the best.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.